mystic romantic, ultra super speedily. The origin of the creation, and, about the cultural environment. From the perspective of a timeline.
Only one timeline? During the 90s, Native Americans were very popular with their philosophy. It meant, Native American clothing and long hair to everyone. A greater focus on nature, being natural, etc. If you want to reduce car usage, you need to have parking places for the cars, instead of having a charge for people using their cars. You don't want to destroy your surrounding, and you don't want to deceive and destroy people you like. Nobody wins on that. Usually you do not want to be destructive at all. Punks became synonymous with losers, thanks to the youngsters started to like the Eddie Medusa greaser music, instead. And greasers started chasing away the last punks from the world, and disco techno rave was popular, instead. In 1995 something happened, which led to the gothic thinking came into focus, like the movie The Crow. But then no one knew that goth could have existed.
At 1998 and at the beginning of the 2000s, heavy metal became the most popular genre of all, so all other genres disappeared completely from popularity. All young people in all schools were heavy metal/gothic. At the turn of the 2000s, that was the start of this new era of heavy metal. Everyone started to have gothic and heavy metal clothing styles, heavy metal hairstyles and heavy metal music, which became the top pop culture. Before the 2000s, no one knew that heavy metal/gothic existed.
If you remember a different timeline than this one, you remember a other alternative timeline. At the same wave in 1999, Matrix came, and the movie was a party for the heavy metal people, and was also a party for the goths. At this time, no one knew if there was any difference between gothic and heavy metal people, when you take off your glasses. When the Matrix later revealed itself to be cyberpunk, nobody knew, so Matrix was instead interpreted as goth plus future. If you take off your glasses you will see no difference between any of these, gothic, metal, and Matrix.
The esoteric came into the picture, and you switched to an esotericist when you were there, and a metal gothic when you were somewhere else. Esoteric means filling yourself with spiritual energy and listening to lectures on esoteric astrology, and other functions within the spiritual. Slowly but surely, your consciousness and your drawings of Matrix metal gothic characters began to become color happy, as well as the surrounding that your characters were at, began to get pastel colors and strong colors. You brought your metal gothic mindset to the esoteric place, and your metal gothic were mutated with the spiritual energy, into one, mystic romantic. As it became the same result each time. Back then you didn't know why and how, but it works every time. You thought the heavy metal/matrix/gothic black clothes were boring. The spiritual energy acts as a color prism that swapped the black materials into color happy materials. Esoteric or New Age? Characteristics of New Age are that they do not know how their own ideology works. They are bohemian.
You can't combine the Indian bohemian New Age with metal gothic.
Drugs exist within New Age, and their ideology began to exist by the 60s, 70s.
New Age music is synthesized music, while esoteric music is made of real instruments, often acoustic orchestral music.
And the New Age people worldview does not match the esoteric view.
New Age describes that one can rise to higher dimensions, from 3-dimensional to 4-dimensional, and 5-dimensional, where they refer to that 4-dimensional means to have a soul, so that Mr. Carlson can achieve the 57th dimension. In contrast to how the old esoteric mystery schools describe the dimensions, like just as science describes the dimensions. static, like having a set number of plates on the table, where a toy figure can be placed on one of them, and then moved to another plate, as when a consciousness is moved from the material world plate to the spirit world plate, almost like alternative realities. Within the esoteric point of view, you cannot rise to higher dimensions, but instead you can become more conscious, where you are still left in your material world, without any difference. You probably notice that the New Age and the esoteric are not the same thing, although many people think the esoteric is the New Age culture. An ideology cannot have multiple interpretations. How does that logic work? And that you will never make people to think otherwise. The esoteric spiritual energy works every times. Real cannot be fake.
Esoteric is a fundamental principle to all other philosophies and belief systems, that is several thousand years before Christ. Esoteric is the spiritual science, and the spiritual science is tested several times with expected same results. It is secret to the majority of people outside to know, because the majority of all are too stupid to understand and get angry instead. They get headaches when it gets complicated, that triggering their headaches. And reason comes in focus, through this, something a mystic romantic created. Let's put a illness here, as headache, for example. Religion urges you to pray. Science stun the symptoms with painkiller. Esoteric finds the cause instead, which may be, for example, too little sleep, and can avoid painkiller and avoid asking God to remove the headache. Does it seem complicated? An example of people being too stupid to understand is alchemy, famous for trying to turn stone into gold. There has never been an attempt to transform a physical stone you can touch to gold. Just like with lazy dog, or you need keys to easily remember a long speech, not physical keys to your front door, dummy. The majority of people were considered too ignorant, untutored, to get acquainted with such things. Despite their secrecy, most people today understand that the mind is not destroyed when the body dies, then that part continues to exist. And there is no last day where all the dead bodies of the graves wakes up and walks around. Dead is dead.
The spiritual energy from esoteric meditation makes you become more conscious, more understanding, more curious, etc. You can learn to see aura on everything alive, and there are books on what the color of an aura is for mood, which can reveal someone's mood. You radiate semi-transparent video clips, which is memories. You emit vibrations such as worry, joy, fear, etc. Your soul/spirit can never die, while a mechanical being is not immortal. You can learn to see soul/spirits. According to the esoteric, one must question, otherwise one can be deceived. At 2001, the first mystic romantic series magazine was growing, so-called Bright Gothic. A green little future of joy, surrounded by gray cities of pure negativity. What the book said about the meaning of colors on an aura was crucial, when the future city with its people were colored. And what color your clothes have. The warm optimistic mood in both the green surroundings, and the happy people, was due to the white light energy, of esoteric meditation. But the people were inspired from class comrades, naive girls, who did not always come to school, who disturbed everyone else, since there were never others to be inspired from.
The very first kitty cat ladies were also created at this time in this green city, first because no one else had created cat ladies before, anime and eco girls did not exist yet. Sailor Moon was the only existing manga anime, and only the first half of the first season was shown on television. Easy to forget then? You didn't have the internet back then. That Sailor Moon was 16 years old did not matter then when you yourself were even younger. The very first kitty cat ladies were better than ordinary people. If they were better, there could not be any coercion. Freed from the compulsion of the gray-black material world. These and the city were in color TV format, and outside was in an old black and white feature film. The white spiritual energy causes you to break free from the dark gray matter of compulsion obsession. You can't force a kitty cat lady / kitty cat girl or a vampire into anything, they do as they please. And kitty cat ladies have abilities, they could do things ordinary people never can do, they can do what cats can do. The first kitty cat ladies was like a female version of Inuyasha's strength and senses / vampire with close to matrix speed. A kitty cat lady / kitty cat girl can be happier than a human, more positively optimistic, and more of everything that is good. In the 2000s, there was a school where hard law noir was formed. The reason for hard law noir was to create a balanced harmony between several kinds of people, as many people as possible, and hard law noir did have a positive impact on people, so hard law noir was considered to have a positive impact on people.
Harry Potter. On the first book, there was a picture of Harry Potter in gothic clothing, which was not in black, it was in dark colors. So that is okay? Before the movies came, you read the Harry Potter books, and then you felt that all students were dressed in gothic clothes and the mood had the dark gothic mood. As you could color yourself. Aren't wizards and witches a fantasy version of herbal healers, mediumship people, and alchemy, etc.? When they go straight into walls like ghosts, or open portals? Isn't it an astral world they come to?
In 2006, the color happy changed into dark colors like dark blue jeans, with other dark colors, thanks to the PC game American McGee Alice and a detail from the Harry Potter books. The detail from Harry Potter was a quote, about living in the reality. You learn therefore to sew your own clothes, make your own music etc. The Harry Potter world was forgotten after the quote have done its work. American McGee's Alice is a typical example of something that is both gothic and mystic romantic. There is a huge forest, with trampoline mushrooms, huge crystals, and other types of lamps than white, as well as labyrinthic places with surrealism, and the school are important in the mystic romantic. The background music in American McGee's Alice was used as mood music when mystic romantic stories was written, and is therefore important as covers were made.
That means that the first mystic romantic music that began at 2004, was mystic romantic at 2006, and mystic romantic styled literature was developed at 2006. So you got tired of all the music that existed, and you had trouble sleeping, so you got sleepy all the time, but you needed heavy metal sometimes.